All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving our praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I like to give double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who I learned this truth from, and I like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. And today is November 11th, 2024, Missile Monday, and I have this article from Forbes, and it says, America can't afford a new nuclear buildup. So I'm just going to go into this article. We got a few scriptures. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and straight to the point. And it reads, it says, the return to power of Donald Trump raises serious questions about the future of the U.S. nuclear arsenal. His statements on nuclear weapons have been all over the map. But a 2017 review by Anthony Zerker of The Guardian of Trump's statements since the 1980s concluded that his thoughts on atomic weaponry reflect a certain strain of Cold War arms race enthusiasm and diplomatic brinksmanship. And in 2016, after he was challenged when he said possibly nuclear weapons could be used, Trump went on to say that if they weren't to be used, then why are we making them? On the flip side, he also called nuclear war the ultimate catastrophe, and indeed, he made a valid point, because if these nuclear weapons aren't going to be used, then why are they being created? They're being created to be used, So whatever nuclear weapons are being created and have been created, for this particular time are going to be used, during World War III. None of them will be spared, And indeed, World War III is going to be the ultimate catastrophe. It's going to do a lot of damage, but also is going to help replenish and refresh the earth, So continuing on, it says, as for his actions in office, Trump pulled the U.S. out of the Iran nuclear deal, formerly known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA, which by all objective accounts have been working to stop Tehran's pursuit of a nuclear weapon. And in 2019, the Trump administration withdrew the Intermediate Nuclear Forces in Europe Treaty, INF, which had banned ground-based ballistic missiles and cruise missiles in the range between 500 and 5,500 kilometers. On the other hand, Trump was roundly and unfairly criticized for his short-lived effort at nuclear negotiations with North Korea. The talks ultimately failed, but critics who slammed Trump for rewarding North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un seem to be ignoring the fact that in the final analysis, talking with adversaries in a precondition for any sort of agreement. Criticism of Trump for being ill-prepared or inconsistent was fair game, but slamming him for talking to the North Korean leader at all didn't make a lot of sense. The real test of Trump's stance on all things nuclear will be his approach to the Pentagon's multi-year effort to build a new generation of nuclear-armed missiles, bombers, and submarines, plus new warheads to go with them. A plan that some experts suggest could cost up to $2 trillion in the next 3 decades. The nuclear plan has already been plagued by major cost overruns, including an 81% increase in the projected cost of the new intercontinental ballistic missile dubbed the Sentinel and developed and produced by Northrop Group, Northrop Grumman. The cost overrun prompted a government review of the program, but the assessment ended up pronouncing that the program was too important to cancel. The review of the Sentinel was a missed opportunity. Former Secretary of Defense William Perry has called ICBMs some of the most dangerous weapons we have, because the president would have only a matter of minutes to decide whether to launch them on warning of attack, increasing the risk of a nuclear confrontation sparked by a false alarm. And that's true, because in the event of a nuclear war, if, the United States is alerted that, missiles are being launched in this direction, every, United States president since, these weapons have been created, they keep launch codes with them. Every president has them, in the event that this happens. So again, they will literally have only minutes to respond. I'll say about anywhere between, let's say, 7 minutes at the least to at least 30 minutes. It's not a long time, but 7 minutes being the least amount of time they have to make a decision on whether or not to retaliate, which ultimately they will. Because if the president, doesn't respond, then ultimately, the military will end up taking over. But that's pretty much the gist of this thing, man. Because they know that World War III is imminent, man. It's inevitable. It's going to happen, But they're trying to avoid, this all-out war, man, because this is going to be the greatest war in history to ever take place. This is literally going to be the war that is going to end all wars. Hence the reason why these ballistic missiles and hypersonic missiles are being created, man. These are extremely powerful weapons, that have the capability to literally destroy the earth. But the Lord isn't going to allow the earth to be destroyed. Only America and Israel, whatever other, lands are going to be destroyed, we'll just have to wait and see. But for sure, we know that America is going to be completely destroyed, as is prophesied, pursuant to Isaiah 34, that this place is going to be left, completely desolate. And the land of Israel is going to be cleansed, because those small hats and Ishmael are over there, in our land, and it's neither one of their land, So I'm just going to finish this out and then grab the scripts. So it says the Pentagon has a big shopping list: a larger Navy, more combat aircraft, new armored vehicles, drones, and other unpiloted vehicles. Even with a Pentagon budget soaring towards $1 trillion per year, something may have to be cut. There's also a chance that at least a few fiscal conservatives in Congress may seek across the board cuts, including the Pentagon, upon news that for the first time, interest on the federal debt is larger than the Pentagon budget. Because again, America is trillions of dollars in debt, man, which the elites can take this place out of debt, but again, they're not going to. So it says, on the other hand, despite the occasional criticism, Trump has come to see weapons contractors as important allies in executing his domestic strategy because of the jobs created by contracts with the Pentagon and foreign buyers. This alliance was on display in Trump's effort to make a huge weapons deal with Saudi Arabia, which he claimed could create 500,000 jobs in the United States. when a more realistic estimate would be 1/10 to 1/20th of that figure. The ultimate test came after the Saudi regime's murder of the U.S. resident Saudi dissident Jamal Khashoggi, when Trump issued a statement saying that U.S. arms to the Saudi regime will continue, in part because he didn't want to reduce business for our wonderful defense companies. Donald Trump is nothing if not unpredictable. Will Trump, the deal maker, pleasantly surprise us by attempting to enter into negotiation to reduce nuclear arsenals, or will he resort to bluster and threats that make negotiations more difficult, even as he helps line the pockets of major weapons makers with billions of dollars of our tax money? To some degree, it's up to what kind of pressure he gets for and against the current buildup, which is a question that only can be answered once he is in office. And that's a valid point. We'll just have to wait and see what Trump is going to do, because we're hoping that that's exactly what he's going to do. He is not only going to lead this world into World War III, but ultimately he's going to forward the agenda of the New World Order. Because here at Great Millstone, we firmly believe that is Nero Caesar, coming back in a reincarnation as who we know today as Donald Trump. Because again, we'll have to wait and see. He so-called ended the war, with Hamas and Israel, and there's been speculation he may try to end the war with Ukraine and Russia. Like, again, we'll just have to wait and see what happens, because as it stands, Joe Biden is still currently the president of the United States. Kamala Harris is still the vice president, so between now and January 20th, a lot can happen. We'll just have to wait and see what he does when he gets in office. So, as always, I'm going to start in the book of Isaiah, chapter 9 and verse 5. It says, "For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire." So yes, this is not going to be a traditional war, where you have a group of men on one side, a group of men on the other side, wielding weapons of war, swords, spears, shields, bow and arrows, charging each other in the center of the battlefield, fighting. This war is going to be fought with nuclear capabilities, man. That's that burning and fuel of fire, You will have ground troops that are going to be going to war with each other over in the Middle East, but ultimately this war is going to be fought with these nuclear weapons, So now I'm going to jump to Isaiah chapter 54. Excuse me, Salakia. Isaiah chapter 54 and verse 16. It says, "Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals and the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy." Yes, the smith being these modern day scientists, man. These scientists are the modern day blacksmiths, because what does a blacksmith do? They deal in creating weapons, man, weapons of war. And that's what these scientists and physicists are doing. They are creating weapons of war, weapons of mass destruction, if you will, because that's ultimately what these weapons are, man. Here's the reason why it says I've created the waster to destroy. These are weapons of mass destruction, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to do a lot of damage upon this earth, man. An entire land mass is going to be destroyed by these weapons, This is how serious this is. So, They can try to, offset prophecy all they want, but it's not going to work, you know. So, this is the book of Joel, chapter 2, and verse 1. It says, blow ye the trumpet, blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. And indeed, the day of the Lord is coming very soon. But before that day comes, we still have to wait on the prophecy of the mark of the beast spoken of in Revelation chapter 13. The mass implementation of the RFID microchip, which is the mark of the beast. People have to receive the mark of the beast before this destruction can take place. But when that happens, then the day of the Lord is going to come quickly. Verse 2, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. There hath not been ever the like, neither shall there be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. And yeah, man, that's talking about those missiles, That's that great people and a strong, man. That's that, exceeding great army. It's not talking about humans, man. It's not what that's talking about. These are talking about millions upon millions of nuclear warheads coming to destroy Babylon the Great. Verse 3, a fire devoureth before them, and behind them burneth a flame. And behind them a flame burneth, that rocket propulsion system that is going to guide them, to hit their target. Says the land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness, and yea, nothing shall escape them. And as we know, America has not been touched by war, as far as war with, another nation, another country. This nation or this country has not seen war, but ultimately it is, man. It's untouched. Certain parts of this land, is still beautiful, but ultimately once these missiles hit, it's going to leave it completely desolate. And as it says, man, nothing shall escape them. Nothing is going to be able to escape these missiles, save the elect. Only the elect of the nation of Israel are going to be delivered from this destruction, that the Lord is going to bring upon this place, because the elect will be beamed up, into the chariots, so-called UFOs, while everyone that is left is going to be destroyed, man. They won't be able to escape. So I'm going to grab Slakia. Isaiah chapter 13 and verse 5. It says, I'll start at verse 4. Isaiah 13 and 4, it says, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. Again, talking about those missiles. Verse 5, it says, they come from a far country, from one end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. So yes, ultimately these nuclear weapons that are being created, they're part of the Lord's army, they're part of his armory, man. And it says they're going to come from one end of earth to the other to destroy the whole land. What's the whole land? America. America is going to be completely destroyed, man. This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 50 in verse 25, and it says, "The Lord hath opened his armory, and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord Yahweh, power of hosts, in the land of the Chaldeans." And again, the weapons of his indignation are these nuclear missiles, man. No matter which nations possess them, they're all the weapons of the Lord's indignation. What is indignation? Righteous anger, man. You know, that's what that means. And these are being created, man, because again, the Lord is going to pour out the full force of his anger upon this place, you know. And again, it's all for an appointed time, man. It's all for an appointed time, but still, before this destruction takes place, certain prophecies still have to come to pass first. Again, Revelation 13, the mass implementation of the mark of the beast that has to take place. Then after that, things will, speed up. So this is the book of Revelation, chapter 7 and verse 1. It says, "And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree." And again, the 4 winds, being that destruction, these are 4 literal angels, 4 literal angels that are holding back the destruction. Because again, man, it's for an appointed time, man. There's a specific time when this destruction is going to take place, So I'm going to jump to Revelation chapter 9 and verse 15. And it says, "And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the third part of men." And again, man, just like it says, there's an appointed time, there's specific hour, day, month, and year when this destruction is going to take place. And it says to slay the third part of men, because you have 3 classes of men on the earth. You have the sons of God, which are the Israelites, all 12 tribes from Judah all the way down to Issachar. You have the sons of men, which are, the other heathen nations, or which are the heathen nations, the sons of men. And you have the sons of the wicked, which is the nation of Edom, the so-called white man. And that's ultimately who this destruction is for, Esau, But you will have 2/3 of the nation of Israel that are going to get caught in this destruction for their wickedness, because they refuse to repent and turn from their wicked ways. And, heathens that are going to get caught up in it, just because they're collateral damage. If they're over here in America and they haven't fled back to their homelands before this destruction take place, then, they're just over here to die, So I'm going to end it on this. Slakia. All right, Slakia. Slakia for the wait, but that's what I was looking for. Habakkuk chapter 3 and verse 8, and I'll end it right there. It says, was the Lord displeased against the river? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon thine horses and thy chariots of salvation? That might have been it. If not, Salakia, because pretty much, talked about the Lord being angry at the rivers and the trees. So Salakia, one more time, just bear with me. All right, I can't find it at the moment, but pretty much again, the point being that this destruction is going to be so devastating, pretty much one of the prophets, once I find it, I'll put, the scripture in the description box, but pretty much again, you have to ask, Lord, were you angry at the rivers? Were you angry at the trees? Because that's how devastating this is going to be, man. And that's how angry the Lord is going to be, because again, he's going to pour out his full force upon this place, So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Kodash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from. And I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. Till the next time I say Shalom.